think we will start the presentation. Today we are going over the top 10 student travel questions. My name is Jessie Wachter. I have been working with Rustic Pathways for about 10 years now. I'm now currently a global programs advisor. So if you give us a call with any questions at any time, you will either get myself or one of my colleagues. I do actually have a couple of my colleagues behind the scenes who will be answering questions as we go along. So as you think of questions, please feel free to put them into the chat box there, and we'll either get to them during the presentation or most likely at the end. I'll save some time for questions and answers. We will be recording this session, so if you know of anybody who wasn't able to make it or if you aren't able to stay the whole time, we'll send that out to you afterwards. And also, as we go through, if you do think of any questions, as I mentioned, we'll have a question and answer session at the end to get to those questions. On this call, we are going to tell you a little bit about Rustic if you're brand new, and we want to go through a little bit about what we are and what we believe and what we stand for. We're going to talk about our early enrollment season. We will talk about our top 10 student travel questions, and then of course we'll get to your questions and cover how to enroll as well. At Rustic Pathways, we have been in operation for about 35, 36 years now. We've started in Australia, branched out across the world. We're in about 20 different countries now, and we have about 100 different programs. We really do see ourselves as the intersection of education, travel, and philanthropy. So this is a really integral time in your student's life. It's influential when they're going to be making decisions about the rest of your life. And we do believe that getting out into the world and getting a global perspective is a super important aspect of every student's education at this time of their lives. Right now, at Rustic Pathways, we are in our early enrollment season, which means up until October 14th, which is right around the corner, it's this coming Sunday, new students get 20% off of any program. So this is the only time of the year that we do offer such a blanket discount. It's on any program that you'd like to enroll in, 20% off if you enroll by Sunday, midnight Pacific time. With that, the added benefit in addition to the discount is that you actually have until March 1st to make any changes to your program selection, to your date selection, your travel dates, or even cancel for a full refund minus that enrollment fee. So it's a really good time. We realize it's an early commitment to sign up for a program next summer. But we also give you until March 1st to make any changes if anything comes up. And a lot of families find that they will choose a program that's their first choice, and then they have the next several months to kind of lock it all down. So you have a few more months to make that final decision. And now we're going to get into our top 10 student travel questions. And this is really useful information as you go about making that decision. Please do also remember that you can always give us a call at any time. Happy to walk through any of these questions. I am going to try and stick to a 30-minute time frame here to get to, in the interest of saving you all time this evening. If I do go a little bit too quickly, again, we'll have some time for questions and answers, or also give us a call tomorrow during the day and we're happy to go through that. So we get the question all the time, what are your most popular programs? This is a really hard question to answer because it really does depend on the student and themselves. We have, as I mentioned, about 100 different programs in 20 different countries. About 75 to 80% of them are service focused, but we also have education programs and adventure programs, and a lot of our programs have a mix thereof. So it really depends on what the student is interested in, what they're going for, perhaps what they're going to study in college. We do have medical certification programs, so we have quite a few options. These programs, if they don't review well with students, they don't last long. So they're going to be pretty popular with that particular student. And we try to have something a little bit for everybody. Who is on my trip? This is a pretty popular question as well. We actually have students from over 60 different countries join us every year. So we have a really diverse student base. We still have approximately 80% US and Canadian students. So a lot of students from North America, but also students from around the world and from all over the country. So they're really a diverse group. We will be meeting students from hopefully a lot of different places on your program as you venture out into the world. How do I meet up with my group? So this is a question a lot of students are asking about whether they're going to meet their students before they travel. We have found that students can kind of form, especially with social media these days, you can form preconceptions, and we really find that it's best to meet your students, meet your fellow students on the trip. So you will actually meet your group at the airport. If you are in the US, you will meet at the hub airport and you will all fly together to your group. So you're escorted by one of our chaperones or multiple chaperones in many cases. And then you'll meet your fellow students either on the flight down or actually already in country. Some students are combining programs, so they'll already be in country when you get there, but you'll meet them and then start the program together. What should I pack? This is a great question. This is also a super popular question as we get a little bit closer to the summer. And we have very thorough packing lists on the website. I'm actually going to get out here for just a moment and show you where you can find those. If you are on a program page, this is our main website. If you haven't been on there for a little while, it has been updated recently. There's a sandwich menu. We call it up here in the right-hand corner. If you click that, there's 3 different sections here. Under the student section, you'll find all of the destinations that we offer. So if you want to go to a program perhaps in Morocco, choose program here. There's going to be a general description of the program, give you a good idea. There'll be all the available dates for that program. Over here, some really important information about the program, all of the program profile, we call it. Great way to kind of compare programs over here. And then if you keep scrolling down, you'll find several tabs. And this one has the full day-to-day itinerary here, packing information, and FAQs. So that's where you're going to find your packing list. Every program has its own individual packing list that we definitely recommend you following. And then right here is also some fantastic information if you do have questions about the accommodations or what kind of food we'll be eating, the weather, etc. It's all there. And if you happen to have a question that you can't find in the FAQs, give us a call. So that is what you should pack. Can I bring my cell phone? Another really popular question. For cell phones, as a company, we do highly encourage students to be disconnected as possible. We realize that cell phones can be really useful, especially on travel days when you're connecting with your parents or meeting up with us on the to trip or back trip. But during the trip, we want students to really fully immerse in the experience and be present. So we want you to challenge yourselves to disconnect. That being said, there are some programs that once or twice during the itinerary, you're going to stop at a Wi-Fi cafe, or you may have it at your hotel. So it really does, again, depend on the program. If this is something that's really important to you, definitely give us a call and we can let you know whether there is access to Wi-Fi during the trip. If you do have an international plan, just make sure that you understand that there's going to be certain times during the program that you're not at all allowed to use your cell phone, which is like during service programs, during meals, during group activities, that kind of thing. And also keep in mind that some international plans, though they say they might work, don't actually work when you're in there. So just keep that in mind. We do have a brand new set of programs. And in fact, it's actually our existing set of programs, but it's certain sessions on those programs that are going to be cell phone free. And this is, again, another great opportunity to challenge yourself to just disconnect and be present. During these programs, there are no cell phones allowed at all. So this is something that a lot of parents and students have been asking for, that they want to go and just make sure that they can make friends and they can experience everything that is there without having all the rest of their students kind of social mediating. So that is something to keep a look out for. There's going to be a little icon next to the session, so you'll definitely be able to see which sessions are cell phone free. And if you need some help finding that, I can show you on the website where to find those as well. Do you accommodate for different dietary restrictions? Absolutely. Almost all dietary restrictions we can handle. We've had students with various allergies, or with maybe they're vegetarian or vegan. It's definitely something we can accommodate. It does depend a little bit on the destination. So if you are a vegetarian or a vegan and you're looking to travel to Mongolia, for example, that has a very strong meat diet, might be a little bit of a challenge, and we'd like to have that discussion with you first before you travel there. Similarly, if you have a severe peanut allergy, we don't recommend traveling to Thailand. We may steer you towards a different country. So absolutely, we can accommodate most dietary needs and medical needs in one or various locations, but there might be some that are a little bit more limiting. Should I travel with a friend? So this is also something that we have a concern with students. They often say that they're worried because they may be the only one that's traveling on their own, when in fact, the vast majority of our students do travel on their own. So it's okay to travel with a friend, especially we have a lot of students that travel with us 1 year alone. They venture out on their own for their first program, and then they meet friends there, and then the 2 or 3 of them decide they'd like to do another trip the next year together. We do have that happen. So it's okay to travel with a friend, but it's also totally okay to travel on your own. It's a nice challenge. I find it's easier to find and make friends that way. As a program leader or country director, I may not have mentioned, but I'm formerly the director of our Tanzania programs, and we'd have a lot of students that would fly down on the plane there. It's about a 14-hour give or take trip from New York to Tanzania, and I would have no idea who knew each other before and who met each other on the plane, because you've already made new best friends. So don't worry about traveling on your own. It's pretty common and can be a really good decision. Who are our trip leaders? So our trip leaders, just like our students, come from very diverse backgrounds. We always, whenever possible, we try to have a combination of local and non-local staff members. So for example, in Fiji, where we have a full-time operation, we will have a combination of Fijian and non-Fijian staff members. We find that our local staff members tend to be some of the favorites of our students. They add that sort of local flair. They can teach you the local language and the local traditions, in addition to some staff members that may be from Australia or from England or from America, and kind of have that side of the equation. So it's kind of a nice balance. All of our staff members are at least 22 years old. All of our full-time staff members have WWOOFers, which is a wilderness first responder, essentially one step below an EMT, but with an emphasis on wilderness medicine. So pretty highly medically trained staff as well. They all go through full background checks, and so they're all well vetted, and they have various backgrounds. They may be outdoor educators or teachers, or have experience working with like Outward Bound or other programs like that, maybe ski instructors. So depending on the requirements of the program, those skills will be in your program leaders. We also always have at least one male and one female on every program. And we have a company policy of no more than 7 students per staff member. And the average is actually closer to 5 or 6 students per staff member on every program. What are the accommodations like? So that's another way to use the FAQ section. As I pointed out, that there's going to be a question about the accommodations. This totally varies on the program. All of our programs range from camping and homestays on the more rustic side to much nicer hotels, and everywhere in between. We have guest houses, which is like small scale hotels. We have rustic base houses, which are usually stunning. They usually have, many of them have pools. If they're usually 2 to 4 students per room. So really the accommodations question can't be answered in general. It is very specific to the itinerary, but you can find that information under the FAQ section. Do I have to pay in full when I enroll? The answer is no. You actually have a couple different payment options. You'll see when you apply in the application, there's going to be 3 options for payment. The first one on the application is going to be payment in full by entering your bank details right there on the application, and you're done. It's taken care of. The second option is to pay in installments, and we do offer an installment plan. There is a 3% service fee for that option. Typically, the installments are broken up into 2 equal installments, but we can be flexible with you on that if you prefer 3 or 4 installments. That works as well, depending on when you enroll. At this time, early enrollment, that's no problem. If you're enrolling in May, we probably can't break it up into too many more installments for you, but that is an option. And then you'll see the third option on the application is actually to pay in full, but you may not have your bank details handy, or you maybe prefer to pay with personal check. That's an option. You will be charged the minimum there, and then you'll pay in full within the first 7 to 10 days or so. So those are the 3 options you'll see on the application. And just keep in mind too, when you enroll with Rustic Pathways, you will be paired with one of our personal travel advisors. We call them our PTAs. They are wonderful, and they are there to help you. They're going to help you with your forms, with your flight information, any other questions that come up. And if you do have a question about payment, or you want to work on your payment plan or whatnot, they can do that for you. We're pretty flexible. Bonus. So when is the deadline to enroll? So the technical answer to this is that the deadline is about 8 days before departure. We definitely do not encourage you to wait that long. Right now, if you've been on our website recently, you'll see that some programs are already sold out. We have our program to Hawaii, for example, was completely sold out. We've added an extra session. We have some other programs that are either completely or nearly sold out. So because we have a lot of alumni returning during this time of year and a lot of new students up until October 14th, I think a lot of people are surprised to see that some of the sessions are already sold out for next year. So the earlier the better really is the answer. We have the deadline coming up this Sunday, which is October 14th, deadline of early enrollment, which not only gives you that discount, but gives you the ability to make those changes until March 1st. And then March 1st is that change deadline if you enrolled during early enrollment. I'm going to go a little bit into how to enroll, just in case you're brand new and you haven't looked through this process. It's pretty straightforward. If you're on the website, we're going to go back up to the sandwich menu here, or the enroll button right next to it. A little bit easier. It's going to take you to the enrollment page. You're going to scroll down here. There's some important information about deadlines. And then click here to enroll. It's going to take you to the application right there. It's pretty easy, like I said, straightforward. It's maybe 6 or 7 pages, but the first page is the participants' information, second page, parents' information. So it's not too daunting. There's some important information that you'll need, obviously your itinerary selection and payment information, etc. But if you do have any questions about how that whole process works, again, please give us a call. We're happy to help. And that actually rolls out. So I may have like rushed through that. I'm going to look to see if we have any questions coming in. And hopefully I didn't speak too fast for you. I wanted to get through there. Okay. We have a question about climbing Kilimanjaro. We do have a fantastic program in Tanzania where students get to climb Kilimanjaro, and it does not require training. So it does require the students to have a fair bit of stamina. We do encourage the students to do some long hikes. The students on the program may be hiking anywhere between 5 and 10 hours in a day, especially the night of the ascent. It's actually a very long day. You start hiking all the way through the night, and then you hike past sunrise into the afternoon. So long hiking, but we're going to take it super slow, and we have chosen a route, and we have guides that will test students' oxygen. All of that is so that we can ensure that the most students possible make it to the top. You need no mountain climbing experience, but you do need to be in fairly good shape. It is a challenge for sure. And I am happy to talk about all of that too, because I have done the climb a couple times myself, and would love to go into that with you. It's a pretty cool experience. Let's see, let's go back to this page. We have a question about rooming or traveling with friends. And there's a question about the cell phone policy. You may want to send that in again. It's unclear, but rooming and traveling with friends, usually not an issue. I will say though, it is up to our program leader's discretion. So if as a program leader, they decide to mix up the whole group just to work on group dynamic, as is their sort of prerogative, they may mix students up a little bit. We can't guarantee that you'll be with your friend the whole time. That being said, you'll always be on the same trips. You'll be doing all the same activities together and things like that. But if our program leaders decide to mix it up just for fun, then they may be doing that as well. You can obviously put in a request with our team. You can let your PTA know that you're traveling with a friend, and we'll let our team know that as well. So that's not an issue typically. Another question about cell phones. So yes, you can use your cell phone as a camera. My recommendation with this though is just to keep in mind that there are going to be times that cell phones are not allowed. So again, during meals, during service activities often, and then during group activities. And especially if we are in a small village, there are some villages, especially elders, that are uncomfortable with cell phones and cameras in general. So what we recommend is if you're really into photography, bring along a camera, and that way you are assured that this is just being used for photography. And then we'll work with you with the local villagers. If there's an appropriate time or appropriate place to be taking photos, we'll let you know. Your program leaders will let you know. If photography is super important, bring a camera. If you're just using it as a casual camera, then yes, you can bring it along, and we'll let you know when it's appropriate to use your phone. So we do have a question about contrasting countries. That is something where I definitely recommend giving us a call because we can walk you through the specifics of each program. Um, Tanzania and Costa Rica in this particular question is, or Tanzania and Costa Rica and Dominican Republic are pretty different. With summer camp leadership in particular, for those of you who haven't seen this yet, we do have a program called Summer Camp Leadership in both Costa Rica and Dominican Republic. The history behind that actually is that we had it originally in Costa Rica, and it was so popular, we actually had students returning year after year to do the summer camp, that we built the program by the same model in Dominican Republic to give students a chance to check out a new country. So both programs equally popular and equally awesome. The premise behind it is that our students actually spend several days bonding as a group, learning leadership skills and doing some fun activities like rafting and such, and preparing to run a day summer camp for local Costa Rican or Dominican students. And I can tell you the young kids, the local kids, they look forward to it every summer. I've heard a lot of teachers actually use it as an incentive to come to class and have good attendance, and they get to attend this summer camp, and it's like a win-win. All the kids love it, our students love it. So it's definitely a really popular program, and there's no difference really between the two other than the culture of the countries. You can't go wrong. Keep those questions coming. Yep, I can go back to how you meet up with your group. So this is one thing that we also, if you are traveling and you have to fly to your hub airports, let's say you're located in New York and you're going to Fiji, so your hub airport is going to be Los Angeles. You do have to fly cross country, but as we get a little bit closer to the summer, we can connect your family. We can send your contact details to other families in the New York area. So if you want to coordinate flying domestically to that hub airport together. So because we don't link up the whole group beforehand, just because of those reasons I mentioned earlier, it doesn't mean we can't send your information out to the other students if you want to coordinate your travel. That can be really useful, and so you can fly together cross country. We have a question about number of students per Rustic program. Typically, the average is about 12 to 15 students, but it does vary quite a bit on the program. Some programs max out at 10 students, and other programs go up to about 28 or 30 students. Those higher programs, the programs that allow a larger number of students, that is typically because they're going to be located at a base house, and they are broken up into smaller groups during the day to do different service projects. So a program, for example, Intro to Community Service in Costa Rica, Fiji, or Thailand, they typically do allow more students, but that's because the students will be broken up into groups of 8 or so students during the day to do different service projects. And they kind of mix and match each afternoon, morning and afternoon. So the average is about 12 to 15 students though. So I'm going to give us one more minute to see if any other questions roll in. I do want to put up our last page just in case you do want to give us a call. Again, my name is Jessie Wachter. Would love to hear from you. Happy to receive any of your questions. Give us a call during business hours. We're usually open. The phone line is open usually until about 9 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Thursday, and then until about 5 p.m. Eastern on Friday. And we do have scholarships. That's a great question. So I'm going to show you where to find that information. If you go back to our main website, and this sandwich menu is going to house a lot of information for you. Again, if you open it up, you've got your destinations here. How it works, I can't underscore how much valuable information is here. We've got great FAQs, rules and expectations, information on flights and travel. So this is really an important link if you are looking to compare different flight routes. You'll be able to find the airline that we use, the cost of flights, the hub airports for each destination. So that's a really helpful link to have. Our travel guarantee, this is if you do decide to cancel. If you are canceling after March 1st and you didn't purchase the trip cancellation waiver, we do guarantee that you can escrow the funds that you've paid up to 2 years towards a future program. So that's something to keep in mind. We understand things happen. There may be an injury last minute or whatnot, family emergency, and you can keep that as a credit with our company. How to enroll is also a really useful link. There's some really useful information about payments and the application process and all that. And then our scholarships page is right there. So this has information about all our different scholarship opportunities, including our teacher appreciation program. Oh, great question. I didn't mention that earlier. There is, all of our programs are designed to connect. So within a given country, our programs begin and end on the same day in the same city. So it's super easy to connect. They're seamless. They're actually designed that way. All of our programs are 1, 2, and 3 weeks long. And they, a lot of families kind of ask, like, why would you offer 1-week programs? And that is specifically so students can kind of mix and match and meet their interests and their schedule. So we may have students that come to us and they say, you know, I'd like to do some Spanish immersion, but also I'm really interested in like working with kids, and actually I love animals too, and I can't decide. You could do, for example, a 1-week ramp up your Spanish in Costa Rica that's really geared towards improving students' conversational skills. And then you can combine that with a week working with kids or working with a community in the Bree Indigenous village, and then a week working with turtles on the coastline. And that gives you a nice 3-week itinerary, hits everything that you're looking for, and you get a little bit of everything. So that is something to consider, is not only are you stuck in one itinerary, which a lot of companies offer 4- and 6-week full itineraries that you may not be super stoked about one particular part of that. This way you can build a program that fits exactly your interests. Also, just so you know, it's not only within country, but it's within regions. So Costa Rica combines really well with the Dominican Republic. Fiji combines really well with Australia, and all of Southeast Asia. It's super easy, and the flights are really close together. So it's a pretty easy process, and we'll make it a smooth transition for all the students. Question about spring break. We do have spring break programs. You can find that here under types of programs. This is actually a really useful page. I give this page out all the time. You can explore by type of program here, or even by personality. So again, if you're an animal lover, if you want to see our medical programs, those are all here. Then if you go over here, you'll find our spring breaks. There's our phone free sessions and our spring break programs here. And one thing to keep in mind with airfare on our spring break programs, we do not have chaperone flights for spring break. So you will be responsible for getting yourself to the country. That being said, again, you'll have a personal travel advisor. We'll give you the exact time window that you should be into that country so that you're landing around the same time as the rest of the students, and make that a smooth process for you. And again, that's something where we can also connect you with other families to make sure that you're flying down together if you're coming from the same area. Self-arranged airfare, but we do have several awesome spring break opportunities that run several weeks during spring. We do have a question about how it's handled if students are getting sick. So we do have some information on our website about our medical and safety protocols. It's again under that how it works. Actually, it might be inside Rustic. Health and safety right there. So there's some information about vaccines, our health and safety protocols. But just to kind of fill you guys in, we do have a dedicated health and safety risk management team and director. We have protocols in place for not only every program, but every single day of every program. Our program leaders know where they're going to be, how far away from a clinic, how far away from a hospital. All of our program leaders have that down so that if there is any need to take a student away from the program and visit a clinic, they know how to do that. Most of our program leaders are able to handle most of what would happen during a program. It's usually upset stomachs, scrapes and bruises, those kinds of things. But if it is a more serious situation and need to take them to a clinic, you will be contacted as soon as possible. I say immediately, we'll obviously get the student to where they need to be first, and then we'll contact you as soon as possible and make sure that you are kept up to date as to how your student is doing. We also have a 24-hour, 365-day-a-year emergency hotline. So you can always reach us at any time if there's an emergency on your end. We will be able to connect you into with our country team. So that's something to keep in mind, even when your students are on a program that is a little bit more off the beaten path and more off the grid. just know that that communication line is always available. You can always reach us at any time. And if there's anything going on in country with your student, we can contact you. Although we will obviously contact you. And just keep in mind, we do typically say no news is good news. So if your student is having a good time and they're happy and healthy, you will hear from us the regular amount of time. So you will be contacted as a parent when the student lands to make sure that they got there safely with all their luggage. You'll also be given a mid-trip update during the trip, usually with photos whenever possible. So you'll hear from us. It won't be that it's radio silence, but we do, again, encourage the students themselves to be disconnected and immersed in with their friends and what's going on around them. We have a question about base house programs. Another great question. You can find that under types of programs. Rustic Pathways owns and operates various base houses around the world. And then there's other instances where we may not own the property, but we rent it out for the whole summer for the sole use of Rustic Pathways. So these are super safe environments. They often have pools or big, huge fields where they can play soccer. They're their own compound and very safe and secure. This is a great place for first-time travelers. So even if you've traveled before with your family, or perhaps you've done sleepaway camp, this is your first global foray without your parents. This is a great place to start. We have a lot of programs that are do run out of our base houses and are deemed base house programs. If you click that, you'll find all of these programs. They're all around the world. Right there is actually a great picture of our rice fields base house in northern Thailand. You can see it has a beautiful pool there, and there's actually several buildings on the grounds there. Multiple buildings for housing the students and like the commons area and a dining area. So really, really beautiful places. And again, nice, safe environments for students to kind of get their feet wet into global travel without going too far and too rustic. I'm happy to stay on for a few more minutes if there's more questions rolling in, but I will just sum up by saying, just reminding that at any point you want to give us a call, we're happy to help. Send us an email, whatever works best for you. We can also connect you with country teams if you have specific programs that we haven't covered. But in general, just keep in mind that the deadline coming up is this Sunday. So we realize it's right around the corner. You have a couple days to make that decision, but also keep in mind it's risk-free. So if you choose a program and you're kind of worried about whether it being the perfect program, it's okay. You've got the next several months to change that if you decide to by March 1st. And it's actually, just to clarify, it's March 1st for summer programs and January 15th for spring break trips. So still have quite a bit of time to make up your mind. And looks like we've got a question about our critical issues programs. These are programs, I want to go to that page, that all of us here at Rustic Pathways are super excited about. We've had this series of programs for several years now. They are programs where you are diving deep into a particular topic that is facing your generation. So these are for students who perhaps have a vested interest in women's empowerment or gender equality or education or water infrastructure, water access to clean water, those kinds of things. We have quite a few programs where students who are interested in a particular topic can really dive deep. They're going to be led by program leaders with a background with an education in these particular topics. Something like Andy's Women's Education Initiative is going to be a critical issue dealing with women's empowerment education in Peru. But it is something where if you have a passion about something, I encourage you to look at this page. And even if you don't, even if you haven't discovered yet, take a look at this page. These are some really, really powerful programs led by amazing program leaders. They are going to look at a very specific topic that, again, is facing your generation. That may be something that you want to study in college, or you may want to write about it in your college essays. It's a really cool group of programs that I think could be super powerful for our students. So it's the Tanzania Clean Water Project, Refugee Education Project. All of these are really cool programs that I definitely recommend taking a look into. Yes, and I can talk about our Come With Nothing, Go Home Rich programs. This is a personal favorite of mine. I've actually never program led this particular program, but when I was in Tanzania, we had a lot of students that would either go from Tanzania to Come With Nothing or come from Come With Nothing to Tanzania. So it was a kind of a natural pairing. but our Come With Nothing program runs in Laos. Technically it's under Laos, but it does actually start in Thailand and then go up into Laos. The students will take a boat ride up the Mekong River into Laos. And the concept behind this program is students are challenged to come with as little as possible. So they can bring a day pack. Typically we recommend bringing no more than 5 personal items. We have had students that have come with their passport and the outfit that they've got on and they're ready to go. So it is possible to do that. I know that it takes a lot of trust, but the idea is to really learn what is important in this world and what is valuable. You don't need a huge bag of tons of things with you. You come, you immerse yourself into the community. You're going to shop in the local markets just as the locals do with our local staff. You're going to learn about life there and what do these people in these communities, what do they do every single day? Do they wake up at dawn? You'll wake up at dawn. Do they have dinner with the family, with everybody in a big, large room? And so you will do that. It's a really authentic, powerful experience. It's definitely designed for sort of a next level service experience. So we have students that have done this as their first program. Some students have called in and said they've had this on their as their the program they've really wanted to do for a really long time and they're finally ready. That being said, I would say it typically is either a more mature, more older student who's ready for this type of immersion, because you're going to have a lot of interaction with the local community. Those students actually, with the guidance and leadership of our program leaders, are actually going to be directly responsible for determining the projects that they do. They'll look at the budget they have. They will wake up super early. They will work next to the villagers, and they will be part of this greater project. So I can't emphasize enough, it's a really powerful, can be a life-changing experience. This is one of our most service and most off the beaten path, most rustic programs, but also can be one of the most powerful programs that we offer. So if you're considering it, give us a call. We can talk a little bit more about that, but definitely a powerful experience. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up with one more question. Looks like we have some people interested in our critical issues programs, specifically our critical issues summit. So if you've been following Rustic Pathways for the past several years, we have offered a by invitation only program. It tends to be, again, a program regarding a very specific topic. For example, understanding Islam, or we had a Race in America program that we offered last year. So these are some hard-hitting topics that, again, are facing your generation as a student right now. The Critical Issues Summit is going to look at all of the critical issues that we offer and give students the opportunity to break into small groups based on those topics. You're going to travel to one of 5 countries within Southeast Asia, and you're going to be working along nonprofit volunteers, nonprofit organizations, our program leaders, experts in the field, looking deep into these topics. For example, water conservation. Who does this affect? What can we do to change this? What is being done around the world? You're going to look at all aspects of that one topic. And then that's going to be the first week of the summit. Then all those 5 groups are going to come back together into Thailand, meeting with, again, some really incredible people, learning about some initiatives that have been in progress, learning about initiatives that have been launched but didn't work, and why not. And those are kind of the kinds of lessons that you will get from the Critical Issues Summit. There is an application process at the end. I definitely recommend looking at this program page, because the Critical Issues Summit is a very unique program, not like any of our other programs that we offer. At the end, students from more than 20 countries across the globe will be coming together, and then there will be a $10,000 design challenge to support innovative solutions to one of the critical issues. So I definitely recommend taking a look at it. There is a website. I can actually pull it up right here. So if you go to rusticsummit.com or rusticpathways.com/summit, either way, it will pull up a bunch of information, exactly what you need to know. and will also get you super excited about this opportunity. So there are scholarships to this program. There's some more information about the itinerary, the design challenge, a lot of information that we don't need to go into here, but yeah, I definitely recommend reading because it's a brand new program. And again, could be life-changing. I can't underscore that enough. It could be something that really gets you pumped up and excited, and could be something you go on to study once you graduate high school. And with that, I know that I rambled on a lot. I know that you probably have a few more questions coming in. I send them in. If we don't get to them right now, we will give you a call or we'll send you an email with the answers. But again, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us tonight. Again, I will be available. Me and my colleagues will be available at any time to give us a call. We hope to see you next summer and have a wonderful evening.